Hey Agaho boys and girls, it is week 9, season 4 of the GBA, and John and I are both 500 teams. We are both 4 and 4, with positive differential, so that's good. Yeah, this is probably going to be, well, it has the potential to be a elimination game or a clinching game, depending on the outcome. But regardless, it is going to go a long way in determining which one of us, yes, which one of us makes the playoffs, because it looks like the wild card is going to go to somebody in the Pearl Division, either Shady or Dan, depending on the other results from this week. But yeah. So, last time we played John in week 4, it was one of the worst games I've ever played in my life, and that's about all I care to recall from that one. So, we'll go ahead and run down what he has for his roster. It's pretty much the same as last time, only one free agent exchange. We got Raikou, Staraptor, Entei, Sigilyph, Black Kyurem, Uxie, Krookodile, Mega Venusaur, Empoleon, Sylveon, and Hariyama. And we can see here he brought almost the same team as last time. I think just switching out, bringing up Sigilyph and benching Staraptor, because that tends to not do super great against Zapdos, I guess. But yeah, weird little thing happened at the start of, actually two weird things happened at the start of this game. First off, my 3DS was like being all weird. Now, normally I record with the 3DS in the Wii U gamepad cradle. It actually fits really well and lets me kind of see both screens, and, you know, I don't have nearly the problems with, oh, you know, here I'm going to pick a move and you see the stylus on screen, etc. Because the screen, yeah, because of the way the screens are oriented. However, for some bizarre reason, the touchscreen was all sorts of malfunctioning when it was at an angle, like nearly a 90-degree angle. It's like an 80-degree angle or something like that it tends to rest at for the bottom screen. But when it was laying flat, it was fine. So that was just plain weird. So anyway, I ended up just putting the 3DS flat as I always used to, and that fixed it. So that was odd. The other odd thing was that John brought the wrong team, and it's John. I trust him, so. I think I think he had something else, and then we were supposed to have Krookodile or something. So whatever. Let him pick that up, and that was all well and good. And yeah, so now the thing about John is that John is probably the GBA player who's most in my head. So what do you do when that's the case? Well, you just bring stuff that's out of your mind. So that's what the theme was this week. Every one of these pokes is either like a bit offbeat, or it has at least one weird move. So let's take a look right now. Now your attention's probably going to be drawn to something else, but we're going to start at the top left. Where we have Starmie. Now I want Rapid Spin because there's 3 pokes on this team that are weak to rocks, so that's an obvious bring. However, the weird thing that I don't generally see Starmies have is dual screens. We have dual screens with Light Clay, and Scald is the only attacking move because he has no immunes, so all well and good. Starmie's going to be trying to set up some dual screens, and then maybe some other setup-y stuff can happen. And yeah, that's going to be the role of Starmie. For some reason, I still have max special attack. I guess so Skull can actually deal damage, because we also have natural cure, so I can potentially get screens up twice if I get like paralyzed or something silly happens. I don't know. But I guess we have max special attack so that Skull can deal good damage. Probably should just throw the EVs into defenses for bulky Starmie, but I guess it's not terrible one way or the other. We do have max speed Timid, so we can at least speed tie Raikou. Next up we have Zapdos, which I believe is the same one I brought against Crimson. Tweak the EVs just a little bit for speed and whatnot. And it's pretty much just here to Toxic Sol stuff. But it does have Thunderbolt, so it can actually kill Empoleons, which is something that the Zapdos I brought last time against John it could not do. Next up we have Bliss with Sing. Now, I believe Season 2 against Blah I brought Sing Chansey. Didn't quite work out super well, but, John doesn't have any ghosts, so we're fine to Seismic Toss everybody. Besides Sing, it's mostly a, normal-looking Bliss, normal type even, which I think it's Bowl, Max, physical defensiveness, and then it's pretty much moveset's just the 4 S's: Sing, Seismic Toss, Stealth Rock, and Soft Boil, so. But, yeah, I didn't want Thunder Wave because Crook's immune to it, because Raikou's immune to it. And I didn't really want Toxic because Empoleon's immune to it. I guess that wouldn't be the biggest deal in the world, but Mega Venusaur is also immune to it, as is Sigilyph. So, multiple things kind of immune to Toxic, so let's just bring Sing and put that. That's right. So, as you guys know, at the start of the season we had some straw polls, and I asked you guys to vote which member of the team is most deserving of receiving a Quiver Pass from Venomoth. And overwhelmingly, you guys voted for Aggron. So, we're going to make good on that poll result this week. We're bringing Special Aggron. Now, normally Aggron, as you know, he's kind of more like the Barbarian type role. You know, he just comes in and just brutalizes everybody, just berserkers all over them and whatnot. But this is what happens when Aggron takes a couple levels in Sorcerer, and yeah, we got all sorts of amazing moves that Aggron has. We got Ancient Power, his strongest rock stab on the special side. Just picture it for a moment here. Aggron, this amazing steel-plated dinosaur who, he's got this special coloration because he's got these, magic runes carved into his armor and whatnot. So that's why he's, got that different coloration. It's not because he's shiny, it's just, magic runes and whatnot. So the steel-plated dinosaur here just calling on the power of, his ancient forefathers, ancient dinosaurs, and just throwing magic rocks at stuff and just lighting people up. It's pretty impressive. Pretty amazing Pokemon we got here. We also have Flash Cannon, Earth Power, and Focus Blast. Just a couple of other, magic tricks. He also has a couple other extra magic tricks that don't actually fit onto his, 4 move slots. It's kind of the makeup for EV training accuracy in Special Aggron, because with the exception of Focus Blast, all these moves don't need accuracy EVs. So that's kind of what's going on there. We do have Sturdy because we don't have Head Smash, because for some reason Game Freak hasn't given Aggron Light of Ruin to kind of be like the special version of Head Smash. So they need to get on that for 7th gen or something, but as it is, we are modest max special attack, max speed, because again, we do intend to get Quiver Passes to it if possible. We ended up going with Shuka Berry, which I figured is kind of redundant with Sturdy because I'm going to live 2 hits anyway. But I guess the thought was that, well, if I do take a ground attack, it'd be nice to not go down to 1 HP, just in case things like Extreme Speed or other forms of priority, start kicking up. I'd rather not be at 1 HP and potentially be able to live those. So that was the thought behind Shuka Berry. Might could have gone with a Pinch Berry, like maybe a Pitaya Berry, or maybe even Salic Berry, something or other. But anyway, so that's Sorcerer Aggron. He's here, and by popular demand, he's going to be coming into this game. Next up, we have Venomoth. Someone else we haven't brought before. Holy Carp, yeah, we actually brought Venomoth. I bet you guys thought we were never going to use our BL pick in any game, but I decided, you know what, Venomoth, you don't actually completely suck. Like, someone like, say, Diggersby, who I actually never would have brought because Diggersby makes me want to vomit. Venomoth is, at least somewhat usable. And again, if we're going to bring Quiver Pass into Aggron, we have to bring the thing that can Quiver Pass. Now, this, however, is a bit of an offbeat Venomoth, because we have almost all the EVs into bulk. We have max HP, I think it's Calm Nature, with, somewhat approaching even defenses, I think, based on the way the EVs are. And a little bit of speed there, which is just to outspeed a no-speed Uxie. Now, the reason I didn't want to go speedy is because I believe Venomoth is like base 90, and we got things like Krookodile, which, is probably going to run speed and or be scarfed. Black Kyurem is potentially going to run speed. Uxie probably won't, and anything other than that is probably going to run speed. So Mega Venusaur is a thing, and that's base 80, probably not going to run speed, although it could. And then beyond that we have Empoleon, Sylveon, and Hariyama, which, whatever. So I just figured, well, this thing has no attack moves, it's all status category, so we don't need to run any offense, so let's just not run speed, let's just run full bulk. And kind of working in with some of this ideas is we have Sleep Powder as well. Obviously we have Quiver Pass. We have Sleep Powder to put stuff to sleep, because that's all well and good. However, there is one thing on John Stamos immune to Sleep Powder, that being Mega Venusaur. But we're going to have plans against Mega Venusaur. First off, as you can see, there's the ability Wonder Skin. Now, Wonder Skin is a fun ability. It makes all, like, status moves that have to land, like, notably Leech Seed and Sleep Powder, have a maximum accuracy of 50%. So that's pretty cool. Making those moves, they might miss pretty good. And we also, are quad resistant, I believe, to both of Mega Venusaur's stabs. That's pretty cool. And with the bulk, hopefully we can live some, unstabbed hits. And then the last move, just to make Venusaur's day even worse, we have Flash. So Venomoth is going to be able to reduce things' accuracy with Wonder Skin and Flash, and it's going to be a fun time, maybe. I don't know. We'll see if it works out, or if Venomoth even gets to do anything at all. And last we have... I hate you, Charizard. You're so freaking useless. second to last pick of the draft, and you've been showing it, so whatever. So we're bringing DD again. We're bringing Jolly DD again because, you know, stuff is base 100. Want to outspeed Scarf Kyurem, Scarf Krookodiles, etc., etc. And that's all nice and good. We are, however, bringing Outrage because, yeah, the Calcs were pretty cool against Dan. Like, this does some pretty good damage. Gotta bring it again. It also doesn't beat Charizard up like Flare Blitz does, so that's nice. He didn't bring Sylveon last time, so I was kind of hoping he wouldn't bring it again because we don't really have anything to really hit Sylveon with. So, you know, I have an Aggron, so that's probably enough to intimidate off a Sylveon. So, especially a special Aggron. Sorcerer Aggron here, like, Sylveon thinks it's all like, you know, the Fey magic and all this stuff. It's like, no, Sorcerer Aggron's where it's at. Little ribbon bow tie wearing cat thing. Whatever. We also have Bite. Now, Cooper, why do you have Bite? Charizard learns Crunch if you really want the Dark Attack. Well, Crunch does not do what we want it to do. We also have EQ for Empoleon, by the way, which is only Dragon type resist. We have Bite because Beat Up, as it says there, is awful. So the reason we don't have Crunch is because Crunch doesn't do what I want it to do, and that's kill Sigilyph, because Sigilyph does not tend to die in one hit. In fact, it pretty much never does. So how do you solve that? Well, you hit it multiple times. So I'm looking through Charizard's moveset, trying to find, like, Fury Swipes or something, and he doesn't learn. I'm like, Charizard, you're a stupid dragon, come on. So I see Beat Up in the Egg moves, and I'm like, that's Dark type, you know, super effective to Sigilyph. However, like, Beat Up is, like, a confusing move. Like, does it get Tough Claws or not? Apparently it does not. Does it get bonus from, you know, having a DD up or not? I actually tested it on Showdown, and it did. Bulbapedia said it did not, so I was all sorts of confused. But the reason I decided to not have Beat Up is because it doesn't say the pokes' names when they come out to attack. Beat Up, if you recall, is the move where, like, all your party members in reserve come out and make an attack. It's really freaking cool, but unfortunately they removed the part where it says the pokes' names, so that made it way less cool. And we're just going with Bite because, you know, if I'm going to have to hit Sigilyph twice anyway, I may as well get Tough Claws, and I may as well have a 30% chance to make it do nothing, and thereby be able to, you know, two-shot it. Also, Uxie is pretty bulky, and Bite's also super effective with that, so if I have to hit Uxie twice based on a calc, then, hey, we can do that as well. So that's why Bite's there. It actually has a purpose, believe it or not. And that pretty much rounds out the team. So I think we're going to lead up with Blissey here, because I want up, you know, as soon as possible, since his best way to remove him is going to be Defog. So, yeah. See how that goes. Let's get into it. So, hopefully whatever is coming out first is going to be something that Bliss is able to stay in on and set up rocks. And that's Empoleon, so that's something Bliss can stay in on. But we're not going to set up rocks first turn. We're going to click Sing, because I want to hear Bliss, you know, croon some, you know, nice little lullabies for that Empoleon over there and put it to sleep, because it's kind of a pain. And indeed we do land Sing. And now that he has his Stealth Rock, though, I definitely want to set mine up as well. And that way we'll be back to square even, and then hopefully we can just start seismic tossing from there. I don't know if it's going to be a physically defensive or especially defensive Empoleon. Last time it was physical. If it's physical again, special Aggron with Earth Power might have a pretty good time. If it's specially offensive, then Charizard's a little bit better off against it. So anyway, we're going to get some S-tosses off here. He's burned the one turn of sleep. I'm pretty sure you have to have at least one turn of sleep that you miss a turn. But unfortunately, he gets a min turn of sleep. He only missed one attack. So fortunately, however, he drags me into Starmie, which is the absolute perfect thing that he could have roared me into. Charizard probably would have been the worst since I have no recovery and rocks are still up. But I think that kind of makes up for the one-turn sleep by going into the best possible thing for me on that turn. So I'm going to be able to spin here. I can potentially threaten him out with a Thunderbolt, especially if he's physically defensive. He doesn't want to stay in and try to, you know, combat Rapid Spin going up. So he's just going to go right into Ray Lewis just in case it's Spin, or in case it's Thunderbolt, which I don't pack. And I'm just going to be content to get Spin off and get a little bit of chip damage on the thing, I guess. More importantly, rocks are now gone, and at current, I have the rocks edge. They're not up on my side, and they are up on his side. So right here, though, we're in the situation where it's, you know, knockoff or pursuit. And, you know, which one do you predict? Do you switch out predicting knockoff? Do you stay in predicting pursuit? In the end, I decide, well, I don't really want to switch anybody into a knockoff right now because Charizard doesn't have its Mega Charizard-based defense right now. So I'm just going to stay in and hope he pursuits, or that, you know, something happens and I can live it. I'm expecting it's going to be Scarfed, but just in case it's not, I'm going to set up a Reflect. And I'm kind of wishing that I had put my EVs into bulk instead of special attack, because we just end up to straight up die. So confirmed to be Scarf, which I was expecting anyway. And this, however, is a prime opportunity to go into Mega Charizard. And, you know, rocks are up. this thing is gonna be able to do maybe like 30-ish% if it stays in. This, and it's locked into knockoff. This is, are the stars going to align? Is Charizard going to get a kill? I mean, don't jinx it, but it has a possibility of actually happening. So yeah, this is the most obvious play ever. So we're just gonna click Dragon Dance pretty much immediately, I think. And John's thinking about what he wants to go into. I'm thinking right about now about the camera is slightly out of focus. I believe at some point during the battle that will get a little bit more in focus, but it's not that bad, so whatever. Anyway, Charizard's flapping his wings. Now, last time, you remember, in Week 4, Charizard got shamefully embarrassed by an Empoleon and just, it was the worst. Charizard was very upset after that game. Whimsicott, the mischievous heart that he has, started putting stickers of Empoleons on Charizard's locker. Charizard was not pleased. He was pretty upset. So yeah. Charizard vs. Empoleon was kind of the start of the downfall of Week 4. So here it is again. We're going to see how it goes this time. We're going to get a DD up, and we have Earthquake. If he is physically defensive, he's probably going to live with a decent chunk. And if he's specially defensive, then he will probably die. So here it is. We're going to click Earthquake and see how much it does at the worst. I think about another DD in case, Scald Range, Torrent. But no, he's just going to click Roar. So click Earthquake, Cooper. Don't make stupid plays. Just get this thing really low if nothing else. And it dies, so it's specially defensive. No, never mind. It's actually physically defensive, and we got a crit. So, yeah. Charizard... whatever. Charizard got a kill. It was a crit, which mattered. Although, I guess you could also argue that the one-turn sleep, I would have gotten another Seismic Toss on there, and that would have made the difference as well. But then probably different plays would have been made, so... Whatever, I will gladly take the Roar into Starmie. It definitely worked out for the best, but whatever. Anyway, so with Empoleon now gone, because Charizard got a crit, and his first kill of the season, surprisingly enough, it means a couple of things. That means he has no more Outrage resist, which means I'm going to click Outrage right here. It also means that rocks are going to stay up on his side, and rocks are not going to go up on my side, which means that Aggron Sturdy is going to be guaranteed preserved, which is pretty great. Looks like the camera gets fixed right about in here. And we're just going to click Outrage. If this is not a very physically defensive Mega Venusaur, it's probably going to get knocked out from where it's at, taking rocks damage. So Outrage is going to come in momentarily, and we're going to see how much it can do. If nothing else, it's going to leave it at very, very low HP. And probably won't be able to one-shot Charizard, so we should be able to pick up a KO in some form or fashion. And Outrage just straight up kills it, so... Cool. Charizard's got 2 more KOs than he had for the rest of the season, so nice. Now here, he does have Intimidate Crook. Scarf is not going to be that useful right now because I am Jolly Max Speed, so Scarf Crook can't outspeed right now. But what he can do is bounce around a couple Intimidates. And I think, though, even at neutral, based on the stuff he has left, if he had gone into Crook initially... then Outrage probably, definitely would not have killed Mega Venusaur from where it was at, but that would have been, I think he still would have had to sack a poke at some point, and he didn't know at that point if I had Outrage or not. So my hands are off the 3DS at this point because I'm locked into Outrage, just, running calcs and seeing, does everything die from Outrage at this point? Yeah, everything dies from Outrage at this point, including Black Kyurem, of course, since it's weak to it, despite that being probably his bulkiest thing. So here's a Raikou, and that doesn't take Outrage either, so Charizard's got 3 KOs. We get a 2-turn Outrage. I kind of wanted a 3-turn Outrage because at this point I'm okay just leaving Charizard in. For whatever purpose, I think that the Black Kyurem is also going to be Scarfed. So that's kind of my thought process at the moment. Is the Black Kyurem Scarfed, so that means this thing's Scarfed, Black Kyurem Scarfed, and Sigilyph is Sigilyph, so whatever. So I don't really care about keeping Zard alive. I'm going to be okay just going for maybe some more damage hitting through Confusion. Even though Scarf DQ is a very obvious play, we could just go into Zapdos and be immune from that, and then maybe, have some momentum going some other way. But we're just going to stay in and click Outrage again. I'm pretty sure it's not going to KO. We're not going to get another crit, right, Charizard? Right? But maybe we can hit through Confusion, get another 50% chance going our way. And indeed we do, so we I also just kind of wanted to see how much it would do, and it did pretty much exactly how much I expected it to. and Charizard goes down, but now this thing is really low, and it's going to limit its number of switch-ins with Stealth Rock, although it resists it, so it's probably got definitely at least one, maybe two, depending on the exact amount. But I Scarfed into EQ, so obvious drop-in is obvious of Zapdos. And I believe you're just going to go for Toxic, because this thing, I obviously can't T-Bolt. Black Kyurem is not, I'm not going to hit Black Kyurem with Thunderbolt, obviously, it's not going to do anything at all. And then if he brings in Sigilyph, he's bringing Sigilyph into a Zapdos, which doesn't seem logical. So we're just going to Toxic, and yeah, there's Terravolt. Terravolt is another reason that I didn't mention that I ran Shuka Berry on Aggron, because Terravolt will pierce through Sturdy with Earth Power. So there you go. Even though ideally I'd like to have a couple of Quiver Dances for some plus special defense. So, what I want to do right here is Skydrop this thing, because that's what Zapdos is supposed to do. It's supposed to be super duper toxic solid. However, I knew Skydrop, before the game, I knew Skydrop was not going to be able to lift up Hariyama, because it's too heavy. And I look at this big dragon, I'm like, you know what, I don't think Skydrop's going to lift that thing up either. So I check Bulbapedia, and yeah, that Black Kyurem is also immune from Skydrop. So I prepare for Hariyama being immune to Skydrop, but not Black Kyurem. So that pretty much shows you, what I consider to be the bigger threat on John's team. Clearly it's Hariyama. But because Skydrop's not going to work, I do outspeed it because I am a max speed timid. We're just going to go into Bliss, and maybe we can get something like Bliss gets 2 it KO'd, and then Aggron comes in. It's got, well, it has Sturdy for some things, or it's got Shuka Berry if it's Earth Power, and hopefully we would survive. I don't know, that was the thought. But anyway, it doesn't matter, because this Black Kyurem doesn't do over 50% to a Bliss. So, also, as soon as I saw the leftovers, I was thinking, is this like Sub-Roost Kyurem or something like that? Because if so, that's fantastic that we got Toxic on there. As that's going to completely ruin the point of a Sub-Roost Kyurem, as it's not going to have any way to clear that Toxic off. And because it's also doing under 50% to Bliss, that means I'm free to just stay in here and soft-boiled. I believe Black Kyurem does have a high enough HP stat that it can make subs that exceed 51 HP. I think it's like, what, like base 125 HP? That's well enough. That's like almost Vaporeon tier HP. So here, though, we're just going to soft-boil. I could just soft-boiled until it dies and just let Toxic completely finish it off, but I think I mix in a Seismic Toss right here, which just to accelerate the process a little bit while still maintaining, good quantities of HP, because we just still have Krookodile that I want to be at good HP for, and Sigilyph is Sigilyph, so, I think we can probably take on Sigilyph okay with Blissey as well. Unless it maybe starts doing Calm Mindy things, but it's probably just going to be, the Focus Sash, Magic Guard type thing, the whoops, I messed up, or whoops, there was hacks button to push. So, yeah, here we're just going to soft roll again. Bliss is actually probably in range to die from a crit Dragon Claw, so that might be problematic, but with Krookodile at the range of HP it's at, and Aggron still having Sturdy, I think we'll probably be okay. And we're just going to click Soft Boiled here, and hopefully get back up to a good enough amount of HP that we can take on, well, whatever is left with Bliss. So, cool. So, one last Dragon Claw, doesn't get the crit. Gets it down in the red, but we're going to boil up and get back up to a pretty comfy amount of HP, as now Toxic get the job done. And we actually get a fun stat pop-up here. I believe this is the first time I actually get to award a Stall Out. We get 2 different pokes popping up on the screen at once. The Stall Out is for when some other poke applied the status, namely Toxic, although I suppose Burn's possible. But a different poke actually did the stalling out to let the Toxic do the job. So Blissey and Zapdos kind of get credit for that kill combined. This thing's here now, and Earthquake, since it's Scarfed, is going to do actually under 50%, which is cool, and I'll gain leftovers and soft boiled, so that'll work out well. If he knocks off, it'll likewise do, I won't gain leftovers anymore, but it'll do a little bit less than Earthquake would, and yeah, we'll be able to make subsequent hits not hit as hard. Knockoff gets a crit, however. Bliss also survives it with 16 HP, which I don't know if the extra, what is it, like 2.5 base power that Earthquake would have made the 16-point difference, but regardless, we survive. So RNG is laughing at John, tempting him or taunting him with crits that don't actually end up to amount to anything. So we're gonna boil up, and we can be at pretty much max HP. 1 point off max HP on Blissey is gonna be fine. And now we're just gonna click S-Toss and finish Krookodile off. I suppose if Zard hadn't hit through confusion, I mean, plays might have been made differently, so you can't say for sure, but I suppose that could have potentially just shaken out to being me needing to use Seismic Toss a couple more times. So I don't know, that might have worked out, but whatever. Anyway, what we're going to do right here is not use Seismic Toss. We are going to try to sing, get this thing to sleep, because we need to use Special Aggron. I told you guys I was going to use Special Aggron. I can't just let him not hit the field. That would be terrible. So, Special Aggron needs to hit the field. Maybe Venomoth too, but definitely Special Aggron needs to hit the field. So, we are going to proceed to let Blissey go down, and because it misses 2 Sings, which, you know, would have been nice to, I don't know, maybe get off 2 Ancient Power, something like that would have been nice. But Bliss decided to miss 2 Sings. I suppose it hit the one that mattered at the start, even though it was, again, only a 1-turn Sing, so it effectively was a wasted turn, I guess. But as it is, we're going to drop in. Look at this. Look at the runes sparkling on Aggron's armor. Oh, it's awesome. So we're going to click Ancient Power here after Hidden Power Ground, which Shuka Berry is going to cover, and, you know, times 30, so it didn't really matter, but whatever. And look at the magic rocks. Aggron's going to summon the power of the dinosaurs and all that stuff, Jurassic World and whatever else. Steel-plated dinosaur calling on the power of the ancients and doing over 50% to this Sigilyph, and that's pretty fantastic to see. We did not get the boost, which may have potentially put Aggron in range to outspeed this, but we're just going to stay in. I could go to Zapdos on the HP ground prediction, but I probably should have, since, you know, Roost would not have taken him back up to Focus Sash. So, but just to make sure nothing cheeky happened, we just stayed in and went for the thing, just to, you know, maybe give Aggron a chance at KOing. So we could go into Zapdos now, but why would we do that? We have another poke that has not seen the field, that needs to see the field. I told Venomoth before the game, Morthmoth, you are going to see the field in this game one way or another. And I'm going to be true to that. Morthmoth is going to come in. Now, I don't know if Morthmoth from X2 is supposed to be male or female. As a kid, I always assumed it was female, so this one's female. And we're going to see if Venomoth can survive a Psyshock, a stab super effective Psyshock on its weaker defense. Is it going to happen? It is, because we are max HP, near max defense. And we get Salic Berry and we get Sleep Powder off. And we're going to proceed to Baton Pass into Zapdos. So you cannot say that Venomoth did not successfully Baton Pass some kind of stat off in GBA Season 4. It's a pointless Salic Berry boost. It's not a Quiver Dance. But nonetheless, we did get a successful Baton Pass off. And Zapdos is now going to come in and finish Sigilyph off with a Thunderbolt. So that's going to be a 2-0 win over John using Sorcerer, Aggron, and Venomoth in the same game. So unfortunately, though, no Quiver Pass, which is, you know, what we wanted to do. But at least we did get to have Special Aggron hit the field and, you know, pull off at least one move. And Venomoth got to pull off a couple moves too. So they both got to hit the field, and they both got to do something that was kind of relevant in the game. So not their intended purpose, but, you know, they got to do something nonetheless. So as for Pokemon of the game, well, I think this one's pretty obvious. I mean, come on, guys. It's very, very clearly Sorcerer Aggron. I mean, duh, right? Just look at these accolades. Now, 0 and 1. You know, you might not think that sounds like a very good, you know, candidacy for Pokemon of the game, but what you guys don't know is that, see, we didn't EV train in accuracy this week on Aggron. We did other things, you know, with that sort of influence. So I mentioned earlier in the pregame, this Aggron actually needed more than 4 moves. And those moves he was able to use from the bench. Now, the first one he did was he put a superior critical rune buff onto Charizard to allow it to, you know, harness that rage and get its revenge on Empoleon. That's the first thing he did. And then later in the game, when I decided, we're going to stay in, Aggron from the back used Influence, you know, like Breath of Fire 3. You know, this out-of-control character, he's confused. Well, this is what you're supposed to be hitting Charizard, so there you go. Set Charizard straight, told him where to aim, and I got some big damage off on Krookodile. So, yeah. You guys know not to mess with Aggron, so that's how it goes. You know, so definitely a lot of hacks, though, but again, you know, it's what Sorcerer Aggron is here to do. He's, you know, here to, you know, manipulate the laws of nature to his liking, so that was pretty much Sorcerer Aggron's main contribution in this game. And then, of course, he got 50% off thereabouts on a Sigilyph, so, you know, and again, you know, potentially we could have had a longer sleep that would have been more S-tosses to make the crit relevant. Maybe the Outrage go through Confusion didn't actually matter that much because Blissey still would have been able to stall it out. But again, different plays could have been made, different RNG could have happened with Roaring into Starmie, so you can't really say that's the case or that, you know, hacks doesn't matter. Absolutely does, but, you know, it's things. Whatever. Next week we play some team from Spain that's got a beanie wearing Meryl as its mascot. I don't know, They won a couple of games this year. You know, I'm not really fretting it too bad. So, we'll just throw some pokes together. Should be all right. See you guys then. Later days.